So I thought in anticipation of that, that I would share with you some of my ruminations about my role, about what I'm trying to transmit in teaching the tradition, and my own practice and why I talk about the things that I do. And I think you probably have, some clues about these kinds of things already. But I thought I would I've been thinking about it a lot, and I thought I would give you, just some background information that you might not actually be aware of. And so any Zen teacher is constantly asking herself or himself, what is my teaching? What am I trying to communicate? And what am I offering to people who are interested in following the way? I think overall, a few years ago, I thought to myself, what I'm trying to learn myself and what I'm trying to teach is how to be a human being. Here I am, 76 years old and still trying to figure it out. And fortunately, having a connection with this deep, wonderful, ancient practice has given me some thoughts about it. So, but I still need to learn. And of course, this is an infinite inquiry. And so here's what I thought and what I wrote in connection with this. And basically, I have found for myself a way of a contemplative way that leads to connection. And I think that's sort of the underlying, sort of overarching thing that I try to do in my own life and that I try to communicate to you. So, as we know, everything changes and is changing all the time. And right now, it feels like we're on the edge of something. At least it feels that way to me. But what? And how do we face it? Not quite knowing what's going to happen. We've had a little practice in the last year. With encountering a very big thing that was utterly unexpected. Well, almost utterly, maybe at least 99.5% unexpected. It was just an idea that some epidemiologists had, and they wrote about it, starting a few years ago. And we said, oh, okay, yeah, that looks scary, and then went on to deal with the rest of our life. So here we are. We've had, some experience with dealing with the utterly unexpected. And I think actually it's always like this. It's just that it feels more like that now than it used to. But also possibly now we're awake to this reality, to this verity in a way that we have never been before. The pandemic, the shutdown, George Floyd and the other murders, Black Lives Matter, unrest, anger and rage, discourtesy and the loss of civil discourse, insult and rudeness, disdain and contempt, loss of social contract, hypocrisy and conspiracy, the fires, the air, and now the drought that we seem to be facing again, as well as personal tragedy, loss of life and separation, fear and risk, starving for touch and connection, aging and illness, pain, disability, and death. We lost Joe, and other people I know have lost people to whom they were close, or their relatives and friends who have lost people to whom they were close. And yet, we persist, we adapt, we just keep going, and we determine how to be of benefit to others. Living by vow, as Shohaku Okamura says. We found Zoom thanks to Baika. We kept going. We studied our chants. We took a pretty deep dive into the Heart Sutra. We heard way-seeking mind talks. We had 2 jukais, a funeral, a practice period with a shuso entering ceremony, and an ordination. We began to learn Lectio Divina as a way to encounter Zen literature. We stayed connected in Sangha, and we grew. And we did all this together, and we're still here. Later this afternoon, we'll talk about future planning in a variety of areas. But as I said, I thought I'd start by thinking about thinking that what we should study in the upcoming months. To do this, I had to go back to reviewing what I'm doing and why, and continuing to find what I've called the spark, the thing that seems to lead me towards the way-seeking mind, maybe you could say. And Zen gives us an inkling of how to meet the remarkable experience of birth into the circumstance that we all share, that of being a human being, opening to its with expanding awareness, opening to its boundless, universal, compassionate wisdom through living by vow. And so we start by examining ourselves. Zen offers ways to do that in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, constantly awakening, constantly investigating and learning, constantly connecting. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Awakening, investigating and learning, connecting. Both alone and in community. As with all Buddhist traditions, Zen is grounded in the practice of meditation and continually refining our own personal practice with body, heart, and mind, seeking advice and help when needed, committing to a daily practice if possible, sitting down and encountering ourselves, learning, accepting, and being humbled by what we learn, encountering the boundless presence of compassion in awareness, and opening to wisdom as a basis for action. This calm, gentle, clear encounter with our own suffering is the absolute bedrock of Zen, an ongoing necessity for our interaction and action in the world. Most of us are pretty complex. I know most of you, pretty well in one way or another, or at least a little bit about you. And I think that most of us share with me urges and motives related to inner pain that we start by being barely aware of. Maybe, like me, sitting down with yourself and really seeing what's going on inside has been rather shocking. If it hasn't been, it's possible that you might be missing something. There are lots of things about myself that I would rather not know. Petty jealousies, envy, pride, arrogance, vanity, competitiveness, rage, anger, resentment, acquisitiveness, etc., 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 etc. And then there's more that I can't see, but that is glaringly obvious to other people. And this is why we need sanghas and teachers. The teacher's responsibility, of course, first to do my own work, is to be a mirror to the student, to help her or him see into their blind spots. This is kind of scary, I know. I know it quite intimately from years and years of practice with a very strong teacher. But it's really, as I say, it's scary, but it's also helpful and freeing ultimately. We'd rather not know how others see us, but do we really want to live a life of self-illusion? I think most of us has said, enough with that. It's not working all that well. Or do we want to be whole human beings? And if you're like me, you're a bit hesitant to peek out of your comfortable, secure rabbit hole of self-illusion. But if you do take the risk, there's the sun and rain and the vast sky. So which will you choose? You may wonder about now what I'm getting at. I think I'm trying to parse my role and my capacities as a guiding teacher of this Sangha to tell you what I can do and what I can't do as we go forward in this year. The basis for any Zen teacher's Dharma is their own experiencing of how the Dharma lives in their own life. That's what I can offer to you as maybe a dim clue of how the Dharma can come to live in you and can become your life as it has mine. First, I commit to living by vow in my own life. I am trained as a Zen priest and teacher. I am trained in the ministry of spiritual direction and intimate one-on-one practice of listening and offering guidance. I'm trained and have experience in end-of-life care. This inner work and this interpersonal work is what I felt called to do somehow, following the way-seeking mind as it appeared in my life. This inner work and this interpersonal work is what I can offer to you, and my own deep conviction that the inner work is the continuing, expanding foundation of our work in the world. That's my calling, and that's my offering. And that's the container of our practice together in Sangha. My offering is open to each of you through learning and practicing meditation, studying the precepts and the other teachings, meeting one-on-one with me to help you uncover and enlighten your practice edges, through commitment to practice by receiving the precepts in Jukai, through supporting each other's practice by upholding the Sangha and participating in events. That's what I can offer. Increasingly, as I age, I find that there are limits to what I can do. And in what I can do, there is still great expansion. I want to do everything. I really do. When I retired from full-time OBGYN practice in 2007, people asked me what I was going to do in retirement. And I said, I'm busy building 6 clones so I can do everything I'm interested in. But then I got busy becoming a Zen priest and forgot to build the clones. So here I am, and it's just me getting old. In this last year, we've experienced a terrible upheaval in our society and in our individual lives. Our capacities for survival as individuals and as a society, and even as a species, are challenged. If we don't understand that we are not all connected as people and as organisms, this is the time to get it. Zen always talks about taking the practice off the cushion and into the world, always offering our own awakening, not as a principle, but as action in relationship, both individually and collectively, constantly examining and discarding our selfish motives, our self-centered motives. We go inward in order to turn outward. This is where Sangha opens to the world. The circumstances of the last year led some of us to attend classes supported by the Sangha with the understanding that we would bring back our new understanding to share with the group and open the possibility of social or environmental action. The 2 areas that people felt called to explore that I knew about were racism and our environment, and how Buddhist teaching connects with each. Perhaps others of you may find your own call to some aspect of your life's experience that you would like to share with the group. If you do, please talk to me about it. But we'll begin with these two soon: racism and our connection to the physical world, through a series of talks and possibly workshops, and see where that takes us. As your guiding teacher, I can offer the inner work to support you doing the outer work, however it finds expression in your own life. So just show up, keep going, and be of benefit to others.